Okay, so now we're recording. Thank you everyone for coming. Again, my name is Kim Burton and I'm here with Ann Rojas. Ann and I are the Education Liaison Librarians. We liaise to the College of Education, which means we are your librarians. We're here to help you with all of your research needs in the field of education. This is the fourth session in our Education Library research skills for the Capstone. And tonight we're going to be talking about theories and theorists. Just a quick agenda of what we're going to be doing. We're going to be looking at theories, talk about where to find them, and then look for some examples in dissertations and in articles. This here is a link. This is the website to the education theory page. And I am going to jump out right now and show you how to access that page. So hopefully, and Ann, you could just double check that you could see the library screen. The library on my screen? Okay, great.
Sorry.
Thank you so much. So from the library website, if you go to the research by subject box, and then click on education, this is going to bring us to the education research page, which most of you are familiar with, I hope, especially if you've gone to some of the prior webinars in this session. From the education research page, if we scroll down a little, you'll see there is a, under research help, a drop-down menu for theories and theorists. And in there, we can click on explore theories in education. And this is going to bring us to the education theory page, which talks about how to find different theories in the field of education and how to find examples of them. Now, when it comes to looking for theories, you have to remember to think broadly. Education always overflows into other subject-related areas, psychology, sociology, even business. If your topic is about leadership or administration, you may want to look at some business theories. And you also want to think basic. Look at past references, resources that you have had, textbooks for prior courses, course readings. This is called exploratory research, and we're going to go into this a little bit more, but that's how you're going to be able to find information about theories. And then once you find some information about theories, you can then go and look for more detailed information and then start looking for that seminal work. Part of your research is going to include identifying and obtaining original theoretical works and integrating them into your research to tie your ideas together and to keep them grounded. Now, foundational literature, which is also referred to as seminal research or classic research, is the original or groundbreaking work on a theory in your area of study. Many times, seminal work will be older than 5 years old. And often it is also published in a book, so it is not peer-reviewed. But that's okay. If you are citing a theory, you want that seminal work, even if it's older than 5 years, which it probably will be, and even if it is not peer-reviewed, if it's in a book, because you need to be citing the original works. Now we're going to talk a little bit about how to find more information about theories. As I mentioned before, looking at textbooks from your foundational courses. Textbooks are great because they give you a lot of information. They give you a little bit of information on a lot of topics. So you can go in there to read about some theories that you might have learned back in your foundational courses to get an idea of something that you might be interested in. And then once you find one of those theories, then you can go look in other reference sources for more information about that topic. So for instance, let's say you're in your textbook, you see information about adult learning theory, andragogy, and you want to find more information. So a good way to do that would be to go to the library and see if you can find any scholarly books on this topic. Specifically books written by Malcolm Knowles, who is the theorist who came up with andragogy theory. To look up some books in the Walden Library, we're going to go to the library website, and we're going to click on the publications button, this blue button here that says publications. And in the column on the left-hand side, we're going to click on the books button. And then in this book, this search box right here, this is a search box that's going to be searching books in the library. We are going to type in andragogy for adult learning. And when I do this search, we are going to get, it's just taking a minute. Oops, it kicked me out. Okay, so we get over 1,000 items, but we're specifically looking for Malcolm Knowles' work. So in the second search box, I'm going to type Knowles, Malcolm Knowles' last name, and in the select field optional drop-down menu, I can select author. So now it's going to be looking for andragogy or adult learning that's written by Knowles. And when I do this search now, is going to narrow it down to 3 results. I'm just going to make my screen a little bit bigger. Oops. Okay. Okay. So here we have Malcolm Knowles. He wrote this one. He wrote the second one. And you see down here, this is a different Knowles. So I'm not going to pay any attention to that third one. Okay, so we have these 2 books that we're hoping is a seminal work of Malcolm Knowles. But something that you might notice is that this book was published in 2005. This book was published in 2005. Well, Malcolm Knowles passed away in 1997. So how can there be books by him? And is this his seminal work? Well, what this is, this happens a lot, especially when you have very popular theories that have been around for a while. This is actually a new edition. This is the 6th edition of Malcolm Knowles' book, The Adult Learner. And this is also a new edition for the book, The Adult. This is the same book, just a newer edition. If I go to Find at Walden, I can get more information about this book. For some reason, this show more hasn't been working, but that's okay because I can just jump down to the preface and read this. And you can see in here that they're talking about Malcolm Knowles, and this is the updated revised 6th edition right there. And that they are adding to his work. So this is considered his seminal work because his work is here. That hasn't been changed. They have just added additional work by other researchers who are contributing to his foundational work here. So this would be a seminal book that you could cite if you are interested in using this theory. Okay, so is there any questions about that, Anne, about looking up the book for a theorist?
Nope, so far so good.
Great. All right, so I'm going to go jump back to the education research page. And I'm sorry that my computer is just running a little bit slow tonight. And I'm going to go back to theories and get back to that education theory page, which is linked out in the slide deck that we shared with you. Okay, another great place to find information about theories is in our reference databases. And Sage Knowledge is a great database, has a lot of wonderful reference items in it, and it'll give you some short, concise information about what you're looking for, in this case, some theories, but it'll also point you in the direction of where to find the seminal works. I'm just going to do a search for TPAC. Oops. And whenever I search for anything, a theory or anything that has an acronym, I also want to type out that acronym. Except I can't type and talk at the same time, so I apologize. Okay, so TPAC, or Technological Pedagogical Content Knowledge. Whenever I have an acronym, I always want to put the terms that stand for that acronym in quotations. that is going to tell the database to find those terms in as a phrase in that order. It's not going to find technological on one page and content knowledge on another. It's going to find it all together like that. So now we're going to hit search and see what we can find. And we get 6 results. And you can see right here that it's highlighted where this information is about TPAC in these resources. We're just going to go ahead and jump into this first one. And I can actually do a search. I'll just search for the technological, pedagogical content knowledge, and it brings it right up. And you see it is citing Mersch and Kohler. So another thing I can do after I read this, if I want to find some more information and maybe find the seminal work on this topic, I can search for both of these people in the reference list. I can either scroll all the way down to get to the reference list. And here it is again. So this is the work that's cited. This could be the seminal work. So I want to find this article. I want to see what it has to say. So there's a couple of ways that I can look for it. The easiest way is to copy the title, and then we're going to go and look it up in Google Scholar. However, I'm going to access Google Scholar through the Walden Library. And when I do this, the Walden Library databases are going to be linked with Google Scholar. So if Google Scholar finds anything that Walden has, a Find at Walden link will show up. To get to Google Scholar from the Walden website, I go to Start Your Research at the top of the page. And in the Search by Database box, I click on Google Scholar. And this is going to bring me to the Google Scholar search box that is linked with the Walden databases. I just type the article title in there. I'll hit search and it pulls it up right away. Now it doesn't look like we have this article in the library because there's no Find at Walden link over here. However, there is a PDF link, and this means that Google Scholar found this article online. I always like to open it up in a new tab, and you'll see here it is, the original works of Mishra and Kohler on this topic. Now, another thing I can do here in Google Scholar is look at this cited by. So Google Scholar has found almost 1,000 researchers who have cited this article. So that tells me that this is probably a pretty influential piece of work in the field. This is probably the seminal work and what I should be citing. Even though it's older than 5 years, I should still be citing it because it is talking about the seminal work of these 2 researchers. So that is a quick way to look up, get some ideas of different theories and theorists, going through textbooks, prior readings, the reference sources that we have at the library, and then trying to track down those seminal works. Is there any questions so far, Anne? Or anything I should show again?
Nope, looks good.
Okay, great. Because now I want to take the next 15 minutes to go show some examples of how to find examples of theories in dissertations as well as articles. And I'm going to start by looking up some dissertations. So those of you who were in the last session 2 weeks ago, we were talking about dissertations. So some of this will be familiar to you. To access dissertations, I click on the blue publications box from the Walden website, and then I click on the dissertations and theses tab on the left-hand side. And then I can click on dissertations and theses at Walden University. And I'm going to do 2 searches here. I'm going to do a search first for an EDD dissertation or project study, and then I'm going to do a PhD, College of Education PhD dissertation. So I'm going to start off doing an EDD, search. This is a little refresher from last 2 weeks ago. I type in EDD and then I select degree. I want to make sure I'm only getting EDDs. And then I put in my topic. So let's say I am doing early childhood education. I put the acronym for it, and then I am going to type it out in quotes. I am also going to limit my date to the last 2 years, and I'll hit search. So I get 62 results, and I can go through here and pick one I want. I'm just going to go ahead and click on the second one. And to find out the theories or conceptual framework that this person is using, I can just scroll down to the table of contents. Sorry if I'm making you a little dizzy. Okay, here we go. Table of contents. Theoretical foundation is on page 12. So sometimes you can click on it. If that doesn't work, you'd have to manually scroll down to page 12 in the dissertation. I went a little too far. Okay, so they are using for their theoretical foundation, Bronfenbrenner's ecological systems theory of human development. So you can read this and see how they're using this, if it's something that you might be able to use for your own research. And if so, well, even before I go there, you can also see that they're citing other researchers here. And these researchers are recent. They're within the last 5 years. So you have the seminal work, which goes back to 1979. But then what this researcher is doing is he or she are citing more recent work that's using Bronfenbrenner. So you have the seminal work, and then you're reinforcing that seminal work by citing more current research that's talking about either Bronfenbrenner's theory or using it in their own research. So what we want to do is we want to find this seminal work here. And when you're in dissertations, a lot of times the reference tab will be right on the top, and I can just click on references. It automatically defaults to most recent first, but I can change this to author name. Click sort. And now it's listed by author name. I can just go down to the B's. Okay, here it is. So it's actually, we have two. We have this work that is in a handbook, and then we have this book that he wrote. So this is the one that we might want to look up. We do have a Find Out Walden link here, so we can try to see if this is available at Walden. It's not, I'm not surprised about that, since it is an older book. What you could do if this happens, you can try, I'm sorry, let me get back to, you can try looking this book up in a local library to see if they have it. Of course, right now, most local public libraries are closed. However, there could be possibly some academic libraries that are open. You would just have to check that out. Right now, things are a little bit different, but hopefully we'll be able to track that book down. One way to do that would be to use WorldCat. So worldcat.org is an online library catalog that searches library catalogs around the world. And what you can do is you can just take the title of a book, click on books, and this is not within the Walden Library. This is completely different. It's a WorldCat is a different website, has nothing to do with the library. But I just put the title of that book in here, and I clicked search books, and it finds the book right here. And then what you can do is you can type in your zip code and then click find libraries, and it's going to find libraries in your zip code that have this book. And what it also does is it gives you, it tells you how far away it is, it gives you a map, but more importantly, it gives you the library information link. So you can contact the library, and here it brought me to this library. You can call them, you can see if they're open, you can ask them if they have any, if residents can use some of their resources. A lot of libraries, academic libraries, do allow people who live in the area to use their resources, but there might be some restrictions. So that's some way you can track down a seminal work if it is in a book. Okay, so I want to do another search just to show you how to do this again. I'm going to go back to advanced search, and this time we're going to do a search for a PhD. So we're doing a PhD and we're changing the anywhere to degree. And we want to tell it to, we want College of Education. And since we don't have colleges in ProQuest, we put department. That's the closest we can get for them to find a PhD in the College of Education. And let's put in here, let's see, we're going to do some work on community colleges. I'll do the last 2 years. Okay, so here we have some results. Again, I'm just gonna pop into this first one and we're gonna go to the table of contents again. Okay, and theoretical framework. Oh, this time it's letting me just click on it. So here they're using Banks's transformative approach to online multicultural education as their theoretical framework. So what we can do is, again, go up to references. It's listed by author name still, and we're going to scroll down to look for Banks. Now there's a couple of Banks here. There's a Cherry Banks, and then there's James Banks again. I don't see the one that was cited from 2006, so I'm going to go to the next page. But I'm thinking that it's probably James. Yes, and here's the one from 2006, and here's another one. So James Banks is the theorist that they're using in this instance. So what we can do is we can look, this is a book, I can tell because it has relevant chapters. You can search for this book in the Walden Library, as I showed you before. You can search for it in WorldCat to see if it's there. Often you'll find these find at Walden links in ProQuest reference lists. We can click on that and open in a new tab to see if it's available, and it is. So this article right here from 2002, I can access in Taylor and Francis because we have that. And there's the article. Okay, so was there any questions, Anne, or anything I need to show again?
Well, there is something, but I'm waiting to find out. She asked if you could show the last process. People are putting a lot of questions in chat, so I was a little behind.
Oh, okay.
For a minute.
I see. Yeah, so we were trying to put our questions in the Q&A box just so it's easier for us to answer. That way we can see them as they come in, because we're monitoring that. It's just Anne and I here.
There's a question about separating searches based on qualitative versus quantitative.
Oh, okay. Well, that's really interesting that you asked that, because the next thing I was going to do was show how to look up theories in research articles, and we'll be able to demonstrate that. So I'll go over to, I'm going to go back to the Walden Library, and come on. Okay, again, I'm going to go to the education research page through research by subject and education databases, education source. So that's my go-to website, database. Okay, so we want to find an example of a theory and limit it to either qualitative or quantitative. So what we can do is, let's do andragogy again, if I can spell it right. Oops. Andragogy, okay. Oh, look, it popped up for me. Or adult, I like adult learner instead of adult learning. Okay, and I'm gonna change my selective field to abstract. So that's telling the database to only bring back resources or articles that have these terms in the abstract. Then in the second box, I'm looking for a research article. So there's a couple things here. If I wanted to only look for qualitative, I could type qualitative in here. I can just leave it qualitative, and I can change the selective field to subject. So that's going to look in the subject term. So it's only going to bring back articles that have qualitative. I really don't even need that research. that have qualitative as a subject term assigned to it. I'm going to go down, I'm going to uncheck full text. I want the peer review. I'm going to limit it to date just so we don't get, you know, too many results back. Okay, we just got 4, but you can see they talk about andragogy or adult learner in the abstract. So I know that's what they're talking about. And they have qualitative research as a subject tag. So that means it is a qualitative research article. We can change this to quantitative, if I could type. Quantitative, okay, sorry about that. And I'm going to leave it as subject. I'll hit search. All right, so none came up for that search. Maybe we can expand this by putting andragogy or adult learner anywhere in the article. And then we get a couple more here, quantitative research. They're all the quantitative research is going to be in the subjects because that's what the article is. But it looks like there was more for qualitative than quantitative. But that's how you can search for specific types of research. You can also be a little bit more broader if you could put in different types. So if we did qualitative and we type or, it gives us some other terms we can add. So I like to do something like this. So qualitative or interview or case study. And so, or focus group, and now it's going to look for, which are all types of qualitative research. So now it's looking for any articles that have this in a subject term, and then also has andragogy and or adult learner in it. And so now we have 56 results to go through. Okay, so were there any questions that I can help out with? Or
well, we've got a couple of questions that I was thinking might be easier if we answer after the recording is over.
Okay.
Because they're pretty specific.
Right. Yeah, we could stay late and answer some questions for people, definitely. So in the slide deck, we have a link to the theories page. We also have a link to quick answers, which is a great place to go to get quick answers to your questions. It's like our frequently asked questions. We have a link to the Ask a Librarian page. Really fast way also to get answers to your questions. We have librarians in reference 7 days a week. And also a link to set up Capstone appointments for a more in-depth research appointment. You can meet with either Anne or myself for about 30 minutes and we can talk about your research in particular.
And just so that to acknowledge, we don't have any appointments open in April. That's partly because of everybody being at home and partly because of the fact that we have a residency going on right now. So you'll just have to use Ask a Librarian email in the meantime and book an appointment for May.
Yes, they have been filling up quickly. So if all the other questions are a little bit more in depth, what we can do now is we can just stop the recording and start addressing some of those questions. Does that sound good?
Sure.
Okay, let me go up here and stop the recording.